I'm Carmel. I have 3 kids in school, 1 in each section, so I cover the whole school. I'm the board secretary for the past 6 months, and I'm also the election committee chair. And I'm, again, very happy to lead this process of election, which I think is amazing. And the participation of parents, volunteering to become board members is also, yes, I need that part.
Very happy not to use that. Okay, so as I said, I think the fact that these 6 wonderful people came up and they volunteered to become board members is amazing. And as a board member, I can tell you it's a very fulfilling task. Okay, the election themselves will start today at 12 o'clock in your time, so you can start electing and also ask your friends to elect. I think election is both something that we can do, but we're also committed to do because it's part of the big part of the community. A short introduction of what we're going to do today. We have 6 candidates. They will answer 2 sets of questions. The first one would be from Group A. They've chosen 1 question out of 2, which I'll read to you in a minute. But they will start with a prompt, introducing themselves, and then answer one of the questions that they have chosen. For that, they will have 5 minutes. And then we'll have a second round of questions, which is question B. And from this one, they just chosen by raffle one of the questions, and which they will answer. After that, we'll open for Q&A for whoever wants to ask any more questions. The first 2 questions that they chose from were, the first one was, what has motivated you to stand as a candidate this year? Are there any key issues you feel personally enthused about bringing to the Board of Governors and the school community for discussion? That was the first question. And the second one that they could have chosen was, what specific skills and experience would you bring to the AES board to promote and support the mission of the school? So without further ado, we will start. We start today from Z to A. Last night we started from A to Z. And we'll start with Lina.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a bit strange for me. I'm always used to being the last on every list because of that W. Yeah, so I'm not in my comfort zone. My name is Lina Winnie, and I am a Ugandan. My husband and I have 4 children. Abby in grade 6, Arona in grade 4, Luke in grade 2, and Levi, who is 2 years old and at home. I am an environmentalist. I support the goals of the environmental movement, which is the scientific, social, and political movement that addresses environmental issues. I advocate for the sustainable management of resources and stewardship of the environment through changing public policy and changing individual behavior. My bachelor's degree is in environmental management, which I did at Makerere University in Uganda, where I was then retained as a teaching assistant and later as an assistant lecturer. I hold a master's degree in natural resource management from the University of Greenwich in the United Kingdom. Over the years, I've worked on several issues ranging from environmental impact assessment, policy regeneration and review, conflict management, communications, voluntary mechanisms for various sectors such as the banking sector, and done a lot of research. This I have done working with several consultancy firms in Uganda, also with the National Environment Management Authority, and in Uganda still, and later at the International Finance Corporation in Washington, D.C., where they have an environment and social department. I am an avid reader. I consider the best ambience in the world to be somewhere in between the walls of a library. I like to research. I like to exhaust all my options before coming up with a conclusion. I believe I'm good at teamwork and multitasking, something that has been greatly enhanced also by juggling 4 children and moving around in different environments, new environments. Upon arriving at AES, I took advantage of the volunteer opportunities that were provided us. I served on the facilities committee for the MSA accreditation process, and I'm also a parent volunteer on the board committee for environment and facilities. What motivated me to serve for the board? First of all my school-going children are here, so I'm fully invested in the current and future direction of the school. Also, the other reason is that AES is a unique school for me as an environmentalist. Not only is it a great school, it is a great school located in the heart of a city with stark environmental challenges. And the fact that it has stepped up, accepted and acknowledged these challenges and tackled them head on tickled my senses to want to be on the table where decisions are made for this great school that is very environmentally aware. The key issues I'm mostly enthused about, as you can tell already, is the air quality and inclusion and outstanding learning.
Good morning. Those of you who are we're meeting for the second time the last day, please bear with me while I repeat the same points. Really proud to be here. My name is Anand Stanley. I am the husband of Tiffany Stanley, who's right in the back and who's encouraged me through this process. And we have 3 beautiful kids, one of them in 6th grade, middle schooler, and 2 elementary school kids, one of them in 3rd grade and 1st grade. Our background is we just moved. It's our first year in Delhi and at AES, and we've loved it. Loved the warm welcome from the community. We've been moving around a lot. We were at the Singapore American School before that, which we found was a fantastic place also. Different, lots of things that both schools could learn from each other. And we were in Turkey before that. So to give you a little bit of a background about what unique or interesting aspects are about me. Even though I'm American, I was born in India. I kind of have a dual view of the world. Lived and worked in 8 countries, mostly almost all outside of India. In Ghana, West Africa, Tunisia, in Turkey, in Singapore, in the UK, Malaysia, and speak multiple languages, including Turkish, Arabic, and French. And the point I'm trying to make is I understand the concept of and the value of diversity in a very different manner, even though I look Indian, and in a way that I believe, if done right, can really help us, just like this community does, that is welcoming. In terms of other areas, I would like to just jump to the question of what specific skills and experience I would bring to the AES board. As I mentioned yesterday, to me, a good board member, or the skills that would be needed, would be the ability to volunteer and give service and time. And I've done that in the past in relevant areas. I was on the board of the University of Virginia, the alumni board for 5 years. I was also on the national board of the National Supplier Minority Development Council of the United States, continental US. I was on the New England United Way board. I was also I'm currently being elected to the Indian Chamber of Commerce as the chairman of the Aerospace and Defense Association. Now, I never do more than 2 boards at a single time. So that's something I am very clear about for the sake of commitment. I've also, it's not just service, but it's also about leadership. I'm fortunate to have led multiple corporate organizations. I'm currently the CEO of Airbus South Asia, which is one of the largest multinational companies regionally. I head the civil aviation, airline, defense, helicopters, and space business, and also the research center, with over 6,500 souls in my team today. Done similar roles with Lockheed Martin, heading the Europe, Middle East, and Africa business, with Sikorsky, in multiple international contexts. Most recently, I was in Singapore leading a merger, a financial merger between Linde and Praxair, which is a $90 billion merger. So I understand clear concept of finances. Lastly, experience. I think service is good, leadership is good, experience also helps to understand failures, and complex problems. To me, the most important thing is leading multiple stakeholders. The students are important. Student experience is why all of us as parents are here. The parents are important because of the community and what they have needs. But the most two important stakeholders that the board has to support is the administration and the faculty. You have a great administration and a great leader here. The objective of the board is to make things simpler for them and to facilitate their objectives. For the faculty, you've got brilliant faculty here. How can you provide them with the right tools, resources? I came up with an example yesterday of the middle school, struggling a little last year with a gap in leadership. Being able to bring these out at the right time, to address the right problems, and be able to really take the school to where its strategic vision needs to be. Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Peter Ree. I'm going to go a little bit faster so I don't get the bell this time. So I work for Samsung Electronics. I'm a deputy managing director. I look after public affairs, basically external relations, looking at government relations, legal, corporate citizenship. So I came to India with my family last year. Prior to that, I was working and living in Seoul, Korea for about 18 years. So a couple things that I think would make me an interesting candidate. I think first, cultural understanding. After I was born in Korea, left when I was 4, lived in the U.S. for about 26 years. Lived in all parts of the states, West Coast, Midwest, and the East. So a very good understanding of the U.S. And then, as I said, I worked and lived in Korea. So very good understanding of about 50% of the population here in AES. Beyond that, I've traveled extensively, been to most of the countries that are represented here at AES. I think secondly, I've got a good understanding and a passion for education. I'm a governing member of UNESCO MGIEP, which is the Mahatma Gandhi Institute for Education and Peace. They focus on Sustainable Development Goal 4 and 4.7, which looks at how do you build education for sustainable societies, looking at things like human rights and social emotional learning type of education. And lastly, I think I have the personality to be a strong board member. I like working with people, I like working in teams, results-oriented, and strategic thinker. I'm going to choose the same question that I chose yesterday, which is what motivated me, because the second question is similar to the question that I got for the week category. So I think first and foremost, I believe that given my work, I don't spend enough time with my family. So at least through this activity, I can understand what my kids are going through, understand their world, what type of issues they face, and an ability to make their experience in school better. I think secondly, AES plays a huge part in the foreign community here. It was a very important part of my family coming here. But if there was not a good school in India, I think I would have had a hard time convincing them to come here. So it has a very big role to play within the foreign community. We'd like to improve that as much as possible. I think looking at where education is going, I think there's going to be a paradigm shift. There's a lot of changes that are going around the world, technology, 21st century skills, and so I'd like to be a part of changing that. So that's some of the reasons why I'm motivated to be a board member.
Hi everybody, my name is Daniel, 40 years old. I'm married to a beautiful wife, Eda. Hi Eda. Married to 3 amazing kids, Alona, Omri, and Nadav, who will join us in American school next year. I'm Vice President of Business Development and Marketing in Elbit Systems of India Private Limited. This is a subsidiary of Elbit Systems. This is the biggest defense company in Israel, which is publicly traded both in the US and Israel. I think that besides all my daily life, my passions is to do kite surfing. Not like yesterday. Now I think that the board members maybe I'll find a budget to build like an artificial lake in gate number 5, and I can do something. Just kidding. Regarding A1, what has motivated me to stand as a candidate? So I feel that I have a great opportunity here to be an integral part of this school member to promote the agenda. In Israel, I did it, but your strength and ability to change is much more limited than the board member in the American school. In addition, I feel that here the ambience is less stressed than in Israel. Hence, I have a lot of time, or much more time, to be with my family, with my kids, my wife. So I don't miss this opportunity. One issue that I want to raise for the board is the adjustment periods. We had a roller coaster journey when we came here last July 2018. It was very challenging, both for the kids and for us, for parents. Different language, different culture, different friends, and I think that it's important that that the board member would be involved in this and try to help this challenging period. I think it's cross-cultural thing that everyone which is expert is not suffering, but can feel this kind of period.
Hi, good morning. My name is Leah Malka. I'm also from Israel. I have 3 kids here in the US. I have twins that are in the 7th grade. I have a boy in the 9th grade. We came 3 months ago here to the US. My husband is the Israeli ambassador in India. And before I was his spouse here, I was the CEO of a fruit company in Israel. I have my first degree in economics, my second degree in MBA focusing on marketing. And I was working most of my days in marketing throughout being in the end the CEO. And afterwards I was a part of the board members for 5 years in a food group, in a big food group that bought our company. And I sat in the board for almost 5 years. I didn't have much hobbies in Israel because I worked very hard, but here in India I discovered you can have hobbies. So now I'm practicing yoga, very relaxing. And also I'm trying to volunteer also in our community here in the Israeli community and here in the AES community. And we see, I took this transit. This is our first time out of Israel. My husband is not a foreign office, regular foreign office worker. He is a person on nominated prime minister. So it was quite a surprise to come here, and we took it as an opportunity to be more involved in our children's life, to be more involved in the community, and to volunteer wherever is needed. We see the AES as one of the most important parts of our life here in India. It gave us a lot of confidence when we came here. We were given here a lot of love and warmth when we got here, not just a good education. This is one thing we knew, it was one of the best schools around, but we didn't know how much warmth, how much support, emotional, I say, from the side that we get. This was for us more important than even being so excellent school when you arrive here for the first few months. I took the questions about the mission, the school mission, and how the board enables to work with the school mission. I see the board as responsible for not the day-to-day, because we have a wonderful management and we have very good teachers here, but we see the board as taking care of the long-term plans of this school. When we have long-term plans, we can start to invest today, because some of the plans can do in 1 year, some of the plans you can do in a few years, but if you don't start to invest today and you don't put the right efforts, the right money, the right attention to those today, in 5 years you will not have reached your missions. The other part of the mission of the board is also to support the faculty and support the management of the school. They are the leaders, they are the day-to-day leaders of the school, and they are also responsible to take the mission and transfer it not just to words but to action. Because if you have a wonderful mission and nobody behaves like this in the day-to-day, we didn't do anything. We have just nice words on the wall. But the school teachers and school board and administration, they have to convey to the students, to their staff around there. So we need to give them the tools, and we need to support them to solve any problems that they have. I see ourselves as opening doors. Every problem they have, we can help them. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. My name is Adele Gillen. I'm in my first year here in Delhi and at AES. I have 3 children, 2 of whom study in the elementary school in 4th grade and 3rd grade, and my youngest will be starting kindergarten here in the fall. I'm here with the U.S. Embassy. I'm not currently working, my husband is, but he and I have both been U.S. Foreign Service officers for 14 years. And this is our 6th foreign country where we've worked. We're very happy to be here. And AES is a big part of that. Like the other candidates have said, it's a huge draw for those of us coming here and a huge reassurance once we get here. The transition is challenging always, but the school does a great job and the community in welcoming newcomers. In my 14 years with the State Department, I've worked mostly on international education. Promoting educational exchange between the U.S. and other countries, youth exchanges to help expose young people from around the world to American culture and what our country is truly like. And it's given me a great sense of how to develop cross-cultural and mutual understanding. I think that's something very important here. It's such a diverse community of students and families and teachers. So I think that I'm trying to answer the question about what I would bring to the board. And I think my professional background is very relevant, both in terms of understanding the importance and the transformational value of education, and also the ability to work across cultures respectfully and collaboratively. At our last assignment in Brasilia, Brazil, I served on the school board for 3 years. For me, it was a fantastic experience, both personally and professionally. But it was one where there's a steep learning curve to understand really what's the role of the school board, that it needs to operate at the strategic 30,000-foot level, not getting involved in the day-to-day administration, but setting the conditions, financial, strategic, cultural, for the school to succeed now and well into the future. So I think my previous experience on the board would help me to contribute to this board right away. And also learned a lot about how there are no individual board members. The board is a whole and takes decisions as a whole. And finding consensus through frank and constructive discussion, I think that's something I could contribute to here. And the third reason is that I've gotten involved in the school right away, and volunteering on the PSA and as a room parent. It's been a wonderful way to see what this community is all about, the kinds of teaching and learning that are happening in the classroom, and the deep investment that a lot of people have made into the school so that it is the warm, welcoming place where kids can grow and thrive. I'll be going back to school, to work in the fall, and so I won't have the same flexibility to be involved in the PSA room parent, which is really set up for people who don't have a daytime job. But the board is set up so that professionals like all of us who have other commitments during the day can still contribute to the school, can still volunteer in a meaningful way. And so that's what I'd like to do. Thank you.
So moving into set B of the question. Okay, so moving into set B of the questions. Set B, we have 3 questions with the candidates have drawn one of each. I'll read out the question and then they will answer. In your opinion, what is the role of the AES board? What is your definition of an exemplary board member? That's the first one. The second one is, how can the board support the administration with the process of increasing enrollment? And the third one is, AES has recently published its statement on inclusion. What are your thoughts about that and how it would affect the school? So we'll start again with Lina, and each candidate will have 3 minutes to answer the question.
Mine? Mine is question B2, which is how can the board support the administration with the process of increasing enrollment? In my view, communications and marketing play a pivotal role in the success of enrollment. And by supporting these through policy and budgetary allocation, the board will be directly supporting and enhancing the process of enrollment. Also, board members interact with various members of the school association in the children activities in and out of school. The information they get in regards to what factors are in parents' minds when they are making moving decisions, I think, would provide helpful insights into how the process of enrollment is managed. This feedback would also be key in informing the board's decisions on how they support enrollment. Then the other issue, I think, the other way, which is going out on a leap here really, is that I would suggest even that the board sets up a subcommittee on admissions, where the admissions director makes regular reports on what is going on. I think that this would elevate the level of awareness of the issue, causing the board to be more supportive. And this is especially important because the board sets tuition, which then affects the budget. The committee would create a new level of attentiveness to this issue that is central to the school. And in essence, create and generate more ideas in both directions, from the board and from the administration. Such ideas as how to attract and retain great international faculty, or even how to enhance the international character of the school such that it looks even more attractive to prospective students.
Thank you. So my question is, what's the role of the board and what's an exemplary board member? So based on my experience with being on a number of boards, the board, it's not what the board does, it's how they enable things to happen. And there's 2 things they need to enable. One of them is they need to enable that the school does things right. And the second thing is that the school is able to do the right things. What I mean by doing things right is you look at the various committees to enable the committees such as the audit committee, the finance committee, the policy committee, to ensure that there are no roadblocks, that you're able to simplify, remove bureaucracy, able to facilitate decision making at the right time, and able to do facilitate and support the administration. But also, and you'd be amazed how many boards do this wrong in terms of trying to control and trying to create more complexity and slow down decision making. Now, the second part we just spoke about was doing the right things, and what I mean by that is as Lena just spoke about, the environmental topics. I mean, when we moved from Singapore here, the fact that our kids had to stop running or do track and field or could not swim all year. I mean, these are things that we all grapple with. And some of us get used to it, but it's hard getting used to. Facilities. What are the next level of capital investments we're looking at? Digital investment. We're already doing things which I congratulate you in 5th grade in terms of the pods. But how can we continue to reinvent ourselves and be open to benchmarking? But lastly, strategic planning, which is the most important thing. India is going to be the largest country in the world by 2024. We're already larger than, in terms of GDP, than the UK, and we're going to be the 3rd largest economy in the world. Delhi is going to be probably the largest city in the world by 2030. And this is the school that is in the largest city in the world, the largest country in the world, the lighthouse. What kind of strategic planning do we continue to invest as the city empties out in some ways, transforms itself in some ways, going through trauma in some ways, and the community that we are that's going to be focusing towards that? And how do we enable the administration? How do we enable the faculty to be successful in this? And lastly, in terms of qualities, I've spoken about service, leadership, experience, but the last thing is passion, because passion is what enables you to work together and not be afraid to fail. Thank you very much.
So before I answer that question, I just realized I didn't introduce my family. So I have 2 kids here at AES. Dina, who's 12 in the 7th grade, and Liam, who's 7 in the 1st grade. So sorry about that, guys. So my question, the question is, in your opinion, what is the role of what makes an exemplary board member? And I think that the role of a board member is to be the steward of the brand. How do you create a strong brand for AES in terms of its vision, its strategy, and then make sure that the reputation is maintained? So to support that, I think there's 2 important things. I think Anand had touched upon one. I think strategic planning is definitely a very important capability. Strong track record in understanding the trends in education, a strong understanding of India's needs and the needs of the foreign community here, and pushing through initiatives to support that, the overall strategy. And then the second is protecting the brand, risk management capabilities. Any number of crises can happen within an organization. And so those 2 things are, I think, the most important thing. And of course, passion, as Anand mentioned, is very important. So along those 2 areas, I think I provide a strong track record in strategy. I've done strategy for 12 years at Samsung. Some of the most complex initiatives were pushed with me. And secondly, risk management. I look after that now, and so I think I could contribute in both of those areas.
Hi, I will answer B2. How can the board support the administration in the process of increasing enrollment? So in my opinion, it would be done by the help of innovative out-of-the-box thinking. Although I'm not coming from the educational world, I'm coming from the business development and marketing worlds. Nevertheless, I think that this could be of help. In my daily work, I'm always trying to think from the end user or customer point of view. And in our case, kids and families that want to enroll our customers. I truly believe in the sentence that says, don't sell your products, but solve your customer problem. And this is a problem. And I think we need to sit together and see exactly how we can achieve this strategic objective in order to increase the development of the environment. Thank you.
I will answer question 3 about the inclusive education statement. As I see it, diversity is one of the strengths in the AES. It's not only develops global citizens thinking of our kids, it's also contribute to them to be more empathic and more open to others. It always contribute to two sides, to the ones that are needed more help in that have problems, learning problems, and the ones that are more strong and seeing that not everyone are perfect around them. So to do this more inclusive here in school, and to have students from all kinds of also problems, students that need our support. And the board needs to build this plan how to get more students that are not regular students here at the school, so that we can be more open school, to bring a budget to it. We need to support children with occupational therapy, speech therapy, physiological guidance. So we need to build this program that could help build a little more open school, a little more diverse school. One of the strengths of this school is the combination between academic, social, and emotional support that children can get here inside. And we need to not to forget that it's not just to get to the IB program in the end, but also to develop a lot of emotional skills, a lot of leadership skills that can see the other, to be not just, as you say, someone said here to me in India, you are not just a human being, we need to be human in all this process of running after our achievements and running after our grade. And everything that we're doing here will contribute to our children to be leaders in their community, to be more, to contribute to their community, come back to their community, I hope a better human beings. Thank you.
I'm also answering the question on inclusion, and I think the school's focus on inclusion is really exciting. I think once upon a time it was possible to think about inclusion as just meeting special needs or disability needs of children, but as I understand it now, the school is thinking about inclusion as meeting each child where they are and being a community where each kid can, regardless of their unique circumstances, which every single child has, can have the joyful pursuit of learning. And if a child's needs are met, they're able to be joyful, they're able to achieve as much as they possibly can. So I think you can look at the inclusion from two perspectives, the point of view of the individual student and the point of view of the whole school community. For the individual student, I think it's an absolute reflection on how each child can be their best self, and acknowledging that there's no one right way to be a person or to be a child, and that every child needs to have the support to excel. You know, maybe you have somebody who's super strong in math and super weak in reading. Maybe you have somebody who has, dyslexia. Maybe you have somebody whose language abilities are really impeding their learning. I think that the inclusion is supporting all of this, and also including national origin, gender, race, all of that. It's about being treated as a human being, right? The other way is that I think the school should reflect the world, and part of the mission is helping the students be citizens of the world. And all of these kids need to understand, and we all need to understand, be reminded all the time, that the world is a diverse place, and that these kids are going to leave this safe, wonderful environment of AES and go into the real world, where they're going to face a lot of people who are very different from themselves. So learning to be tolerant, to be understanding, and to acknowledge that the people around you are different, unique individuals is really a central skill for these students to be the kinds of global citizens I think we all hope that they can be. So I think the inclusion statement is a very important and positive direction for the school.
Thank you for everyone for their lovely answers. And now it's open for Q&A, if we have any from the audience. Any questions? Yes.
My question was, Belinda, given your background in the environment, areas being a very environment-aware community, how would you think the board, if you were elected as a board member, how would you support it better?
Working? Yes, it's working.
I think that a board is made up of different members who bring different things to the table. And so, with my knowledge of environmental issues, I think that I'll be able to provide a more specialized input into the area of the challenges that we are facing. Say, I think that I appreciate more, not that the rest do not, but I appreciate more the long-term effects, the long-term consequences of our actions right now. And so with that in mind, I think that I'll be able to keep feeding the team with the information that we need to be able to make the right decisions, both the long and the short term.
Any other candidate want to answer? Okay. Any other questions from the audience? Thank you very much for coming today. Again, I would remind you that voting is an obligation and a right, and I hope all of you would find the time to press the link and vote starting today, noon time. Thank you very much.